we go through is just going to make us into the person that we are, and it's going to mold us into something that is much more a much more strengthened character, and really builds us into the strong individuals we are today. And so this isn't a seriously unfortunate thing that you all were placed into, and we're kind of we're definitely oppressed with and made to live through, but you are the beautiful people you are today because you went through that, and you all have really strong stories to tell. And so I hope you take that from that experience, but also that the fact that you get to share something that is affecting people still today, and let them know that they can live their lives in such a beautiful way, is like more than any of us can do. I mean, more than I can do sitting here doing this show, but like much more than most of us can even contribute to the world. So.
My personal journey to end up there in that program was because of my parents. Growing up in Texas, in suburban Texas, they were looking for a solution for everything that I was going through at the time, and things that they didn't quite understand from their upbringing and from their religious teachings and that kind of thing. So they were just looking for answers and looking for some way to help me, honestly, to gain my eternal reward, rather, as they were taught. And so they were just looking for answers, honestly, and I can't fault them for that.
I came out, officially left Living Hope almost a decade ago now. So it's been a growing, learning, mistakes, not mistakes, beautiful healing experience. I'm gonna cry because it's my family, but I wouldn't trade the relationship I have with my parents for the world. I love them, they love me. Like Dominic, I don't fault them for wanting me to go to that. They were doing the best they could with the knowledge that they had in the belief system that they were raised in and believed in. And they loved me so much that they were willing to try to do anything to make me who they thought I was supposed to be. I had to learn that they were people who make mistakes and give them grace. Grace is undeserved forgiveness. And the grace that I gave them, and the grace that they gave me, because I said and did some awful things when I came out as well. It's what family is.
I was calling myself dirty. I was calling myself a sinner. I was saying that I was never worthy of God's love. I was never going to be worthy of God's love. My life is worthless. And these are things that I would say to myself every day, and things that I still, I'm gonna get emotional. I still have running around my head sometimes, because it was so rooted in that you're doing well on the outside, but on the inside you're not, so you're being a bad person. And so when I feel those feelings, it just takes me right back there. But yeah, for me, it was just like that dual life, and it was exhausting. It was exhausting. I think by the time I finished my 13 months in the Hope House, I was emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, everything drained, and I couldn't do it anymore.
I really felt like what I was doing was right when I started. It was like admirable. And while I was there too, it was still a badge of honor. It was very much which I realize now is just egotism, but it just felt hurtful. It was just like, it was like hanging yourself to be a punching bag. But you know what? Those 3 months were suicidal times for me. So it was, even though it was not as crazy, it was still bad. But that was an accumulation of a lot of things.
It was kind of like I started going through this crisis of realizing, like, wow, like, okay, like this isn't going anywhere. I'm attracted to guys. I don't know what to do with this. And then basically it was my parents' kind of emergency response to fix this situation. So I actually commuted to Living Hope. So I would drive 2.5 hours one way, go to the group for 3 hours, and then drive 2.5 hours back, and then have to be up by 6 a.m. for work or school the next day. So I did that for 2.5 years, and my parents were not, they were very concerned about me not living under their roof, under their protection, under where they could kind of do this. And so the Hope House was kind of like my only option to move out, and you know, kind of with their blessing, as it were. And I'm a little bit different from a lot of people at Living Hope in that there were some positive things in there for me, just because of how difficult the situation was and how confused I was from where I was coming from before group to getting into group and getting into the Hope House. But once I got there, so I was there at the same time. Nashi was there a couple months before I got there, but I already knew who he was because I had been in the program for 2.5 years before I did the year-long live-in program.
And listen, I mean, I don't know if this is your journey, but there is a difference between religion and spirituality. Mm-hmm. And so you can be 100% spiritual and not be religious, and you can be religious and not spiritual at all. And so, I mean, there's people that take religion to the extreme and only believe that their way is the way and only believe that there is one type of person in the world. And those, to me, are people who believe in religion because they're subscribed to something that was taught to them that they need to do. I believe in what I believe in, and I believe that there's something out there and that I can subscribe to it, but it's definitely not what I was taught when I was growing up. And so I feel like that there's a difference there. And
the way I heard it was religion is for people who want to go to heaven, and spirituality is for people who have been through hell.
All right, Nashi, what message would you have for anyone that is either going through conversion therapy or just coming out of it?
So if you're going through it, I would plead with you to ask questions. I never ask the deep questions, like the whys, the what am I doing here? Like, is this real? Do I actually believe this? Because it wasn't until I was asked those questions by an outside person that I was like, oh, I've never asked that of myself. So I would just say, ask yourself the questions and don't be afraid to know the answers. They may be uncomfortable to you in that moment, but it will lead you somewhere great.
Try everything and do what's best for you, not what anybody else wants you to do, because they can't live your life. There's a lot of trauma and damage that's been done from ministries like this and a lot of religious organizations who, I'll be utterly gracious and say mean well, but do bad. And so you have to figure out who you are. But who you are is who you want to be. You have everything within you right now to be anyone you want to be. You just have to choose who it's going to be. And then do it the fucking best you can. Otherwise, it's not worth it.
I know what you're feeling. I know what you're going through. You're stronger than the views and ideas that other people have for you. The love, the accepted, the want, the value that you crave is only going to be sufficient when you find it in yourself. It will only be sufficient when you understand that no one else can control who you are, and who you are is beautiful. Get out. If you can't get out because your parents are making you, go there. Stay there. Be rebellious. Ask a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
And when you finally have the freedom to get out, love yourself the best you know how. That usually happens through going through therapy and unpacking all of the trauma that you went through. You control your actions, your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs. If you act as if you love yourself, you will begin to love yourself. And conversion therapy is not a way that people love themselves.
I'd say for me, for people that are still in it, I mean, I would like, this is the questions that's hitting me the hardest, to be completely frank.
Yeah.
Just because I've literally seen so much devastation that's been caused, it's really, really difficult to just see so much devastation and to see what this does to people and how many people have ended their own lives because of programs like this. It's just that, for me, is really difficult. If you're in one and you're questioning, I would first of all say, yes, ask lots of questions. Start asking why they say the things they do, why they have the rules they do. I mean, and ask yourself, what life am I going to get from this? I heard that question asked, and it just absolutely blew my mind when they say, when you look around the room in those group meetings and this and that, who are the people that are doing well, that are succeeding, their success stories? Me, on my happiest day there, even in the last kind of year when I was playing the game well, as Nashi put it, when I was, I was a one of their models for success and what it looked like and this and that, was literally when I was the most miserable. And I look around and I say, I do not want the life that anyone here has.
Yeah.
You ask yourself that. Do you want that life? Do you want a life where you are going to constantly be feeling like you're split in two and be in a community where you're constantly treated like a second-class citizen, even if they say you're equal but don't treat you as such? Is that what you want? And for those who've gotten out, I'd say my biggest word of encouragement is if you're like me and you had a lot of guilt afterwards for kind of being in as long as you did and kind of reaping, heaping this destruction onto other people's lives, you have to apologize, make amends as best you can. The important thing is that you've stopped doing it, that you've apologized, and that you're moving on. And if you're feel defined by those issues, my biggest thing is you are more than the issues that an organization like this has created within you. Because there's gonna be some days where you don't feel like that, where you're gonna feel like you're just like the wounds are too deep, that it's just you're not gonna crawl out of that. But you can, you just have to keep believing you can, and find your chosen family, find awesome mental health care professionals to help you through it. But it gets so much better when you get on the other side of coming out.
For anybody that's going through this, is just know, as difficult as it is to see yourself in a different position, just know that you're in one chapter of your life, and the book is very long, and you should be around to see it.